I'm going to read the title poem from Second Childhood, which is just five little sets of more like prose than poetry, and more like dementia than sanity. So, I have a fairy rosary called Silver, who answers questions when I dangle her in the sun at the window. So I've asked her if I have a big ego, and she swings from side to side to say no. We have other children for friends. We don't understand why we are here in the world with horrible grown-ups, or what the lessons are that we're supposed to learn. It's not helpful for us to hear ourselves described in religious, geriatric, or psychological terms, because we don't remember what they mean. One cruel female said, "Don't laugh so much, you're not a child." My cheeks burned and my eyes grew hot. I decided to stop becoming an adult. That day I chose to blur facts, fail at tests, and slouch under a hood. School was my first testing ground. I misunderstood lessons, assignments, meanings of poems and stories, and misinterpreted the gestures of characters in novels. I was awestruck by geology, but mixed up the ages of rocks. I stared and giggled and refused to take orders and was punished. Throughout my life, I've remained vague and have accepted the humiliation it brought, almost as if stupefaction were a gift. I willfully repeat my mistakes over and over and never learn from experience. Every day has been a threat to this attitude, so I avoid obligations. For example, last night I dreamed I was on an airplane that was open to the sky and a storm was coming from a hive of stars, and I wanted to sit beside my daughter to watch the wind as we strapped ourselves tight to the invisible seats and stayed awake in the air. If we had been grown-ups, we wouldn't have been able to see the stars or the storm. We would have perished. So my commitment to childhood has once again been affirmed. Read the signs, not the authorities. You might think I'm just old, but I finally decided to make the decision to never grow up and remain under my hood. We are like tiny egos inside a great mountain of air, pressed upon by the weight of ether. We can barely breathe. I think the gods and goddesses were the last good grown-ups on earth. Once I saw them walking to a party along a beach, and I could make out their shadows like a line of pines in an ocean breeze. They were laughing and calling to each other. Still, they were always aware of their mortal children's prayers and answered them, sometimes in the form of mist, sometimes with needles of sunset. The gods existed outside the ego world, though they were certainly jealous and angry. Now some of them are pots and pans and wax and marbles, balls and kettles, rope and puddles. They emit a crackling sound when lightning hits the ground and give people shingles. Other gods have chosen to break out to heaven, where they blend into pastel and ride comets once a year. Sometimes it's hard to walk with so many gods bouncing around, so I use a broom, rosary, or cane to wave them away.